When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. So let's be honest. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, what gender. You can make an amazing life in sales. And today's guest, no stranger to the journey, I'd like to welcome Rachel Allen to the show. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. I'm excited to be here with you. I know this is going to be a fun conversation, but I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
So my craziest sales story was actually the first sale I ever made. Like approximately 7 billion years ago, I'm a baby entrepreneur. I had been working for content mills, and this person comes out of nowhere and she's like, hey, I saw a post that you made on Facebook. Can we have a chat about you writing for me? And I'm like, sure, I don't know. So I get on the sales call. It's on Skype, which tells you how far back this was. She is like, hey, do you think you could do me a nurture campaign by EOD Friday? And I'm like, the only word I understand out of that sentence is Friday. So I'm like vamping and being like, tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for, as I'm Googling like, what is nurture campaign, EOD Friday, business abbreviation. And I saw it and I was like, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I could. Yeah. And she ended up wanting a whole bunch more stuff. And I closed her for a 5-figure contract.
That's awesome. It's always interesting when you are in those scenarios where it's just like, hurry up and figure it out, but don't blow this.
Right.
And I think that's one of the greatest things about sales is that as long as you're not over promising and under delivering, you can come up with some pretty crazy strategy. And they say, I think the phrase is necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in your profile, kind of checking you out before the show, you know, you've been in some scenarios where the necessity created that invention. So tell me a little bit more about how you got into like copywriting. Was it something you've always enjoyed, or was it something that you kind of were like, I'm just going to start doing that?
I mean, I didn't know what copywriting was until the day I started doing it. I had gone to school for journalism, so like always loved the word thing. And then I graduated into the '08 recession, and it was like, cool, guess we're not going to do that. And the only job I could get was unpacking boxes at Old Navy on the 5 a.m. shift. And it was me and a bunch of like other liberal arts majors just living our best lives there. But that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So in my 22-year-old brain, I was like, well, the furthest place away from Tennessee is Hong Kong. So I bought a plane ticket and I left.
And she said, I'm all in. Sometimes you got to play the game. I love that. I think it's not enough people are willing to take that risk on themselves. And I'd be curious, you know, you're 22, you land in Hong Kong. Now what?
Well, the first thing I realized was I hadn't got a work visa before I left because 22 and I had to make rent the next month. So I'm Googling like how to make money online, which is like only slightly less ridiculous back then than it is now. But this like freelance gig called copywriting popped up and I was like, dude, this is a scam. There's no way somebody will pay me $3.25 to write 600 words. And, but I took it anyway, and it turns out they did pay me, and it was awesome. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe someone would actually like make a job out of this. But I was really hooked. And so I just went for it.
And one of the things that I love about copywriting as a skill set is, and this is for you, sales professionals that are listening right now, it is the secret to becoming a better communicator. Because when you look at copywriting as a real process, it starts to break down human communication, human perception, the meaning of certain words and phrases. And when you start getting on the psychological side of it, it's going to help you have better conversations with your leads and your prospects. So Rachel, like what were some of the things that kind of surprised you about copywriting that made you think like, all right, well, this isn't as difficult as I thought it might be, or, hey, that worked really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that surprised me the most was really just how closely it mirrors a sales conversation. It's really just a sales conversation written down in slightly longer form. And I got really interested in the psychology of it early on because I wanted to understand like what makes it work. And so the thing that I always like say to people in marketing that they hate is all copy is sales copy. And they think I mean that in like a Glengarry Glen Ross kind of way. And I'm like, no, it's not like a coffee is for closers thing. It's if someone gets to your sales page and they feel like you've had a personality transplant, something has gone wrong like down the way. And so it's the same thing. The sales conversation is just an extension of the marketing copy. It should all feel like the same thing. And if someone gets on that conversation with you and they're like, wait, but this doesn't sound like your marketing, that's where the marketer has like set you up badly.
Oh, that's such a great way to look at it. And it's why I think there's so much tension between marketing departments and sales departments, because the sales guys are getting on the phones and they're having their sales conversation and they're like, these leads suck. And marketing's like, be happy you got leads, kid. What do you mean? Like, go out and knock doors and cold call. And so I've always been a big believer that when you can bring the two together and create cohesion and communication, it's as you just said, it's like, okay, well, where is the breakdown from what they saw and what was said? And how do we clean that up and build that bridge back together? And so when you were in copywriting, what were some of the products or offers that you worked on that we might be able to gain some insight on?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've written for everybody from astrologers to accountants, so like literally everything. But I think the one where I really was able to work well with the sales team was it was actually like a high price coaching offer. And they had been having, as you said, a lot of garbage leads come through because the marketers were like, well, this is what I care about in a high cost coaching program. And I'm like, bro, that's not what we're doing here. I don't care what you care about. So I went and I talked to the sales team and I was like, look, like people get on this call. What are they scared of? What are they waking up at like 4 a.m. thinking about? And of course, like sales are the people who talk to people all day. You're getting the first line information. So of course I'm going to ask you, and then I can make the marketing copy work for you. I don't understand why more marketers don't work that way. Cause I'm like, I don't talk to your customers all day. I don't know what they want, but like you do. Why wouldn't I ask you?
Well, and that brings up a good segue into the question I had for later, but we're going to go there because now I'm thinking about it, right? Like so many sales professionals are focused on the value they see within a program, and we're all kind of programmed to see it. We grew up in that era of like internet marketers and Alex Hormozy and all these guys, and I'm not hating because I love it and I study it deeply and I understand it, but like there has become kind of a box that people will fit themselves into when it comes to marketing. And I love how you touch on the idea that, okay, great. Yeah, maybe your customers are similar to 10 of other competitors, but like, what are your leads and customers saying? Because that's the difference. Like when you're building your brand, you've got to like connect with them on that emotional level. And so what are your thoughts around like AI copywriting? And I'd be love to know where you're kind of thinking with that as far as, it's become more popular.
Yeah. I mean, and it's popular for a reason, right? It's fast. It is not 100% ineffective, but it's not super great either. So what I'm seeing is that it's replacing a lot of people who were kind of sort of good at their jobs, but not super great. And it's really making a distinction between the people who are excellent at what they do and the people who like were just kind of okay at it. So I don't use it a whole lot in my own marketing, mostly because I'm still just faster. Like I'll do the writing myself, but like I'll use it for research or I'll use it for thought partnership or something like that. Or I'll have clients specifically request that I use their LLM. And I'm like, that's fine. I can manage your human intern. I can manage your robot intern. I don't care. It gives me a first draft and I hate it anyway, So I'm happy to edit both of those things.
I think that's the key though, right? I think AI is a fantastic tool to shorten the timeline for delivery on a lot of these things because it can create a good framework and a foundation for you. And also there's an element of human communication that's still necessary because there's certain words or phrases that people just don't typically use. And the structure of certain sentences. And that's really when you can start to notice. Because and I'll be honest, I use AI. I think it's a fantastic tool. We put out hundreds of pieces of content every week. And so to have someone to do copywriting for that much would be outlandish.
Insane. Yeah.
It would be outlandish. No offense to all you copywriters that make great money being that person. Like, kudos. However, it can shortcut it, but you still have to edit it. You still have to add that human element. You have to add your brand and style and tonality. And I don't care how much you trained it with all of your posts and all, it still has certain parameters that it works within it. So what I would love to know from you, Rachel, with your expertise, what are the top 3 things we need to be thinking about when it comes to writing
So the first thing is always, what do you want this to do? And I mean really specifically. So people are like, I want more leads. Okay, cool. How many? For what? Why? Where do you want them at? What stage do you want them at? What do they care about? Like really, really specific. Because I think people think that they know their strategy, but it's sort of a vibe. And like vibes do not translate into business strategy. So I'm like, no, tell me exactly what you want, because then we can reverse engineer for that. The second thing is to remember that nobody cares about you. And it's so easy to get into that mindset of like, but like, I love this product and I love the way that it works and like it's changed my life, or I've seen it do all these things. But like nobody else knows that because they don't live in your head. And so if you come out and try to be like, but this is why it's great from my perspective, I don't care. Unless we're friends, don't care. Don't tell me about that. Tell me why I care about it. And then I think the third thing is just to really think about who you're talking to and approach them accordingly. So if you're doing more like volume sales at a lower price, sure, you can do more of an automated thing. But anything high touch right now or high cost right now, it's only like non-scalable, high touch, human to human, like, hey, can we meet for a coffee type meetings that are working.
Yeah, and that's a really important part for everyone listening to understand right now, is that there's a good potential that you're going after your audience in the wrong fashion, because communication has changed, and to generate the level of trust necessary for those higher cost products, services, the bigger decisions. So many people know about AI and shortcutting the process, and yet a lot of people have no idea. So you have to be very, very particular in what are you saying to who and why, and what is the ultimate end goal and process. So I love the way that you laid that out, Rachel, because it's literally the same thing as a sales conversation. Is like, communicate, get the info, lay out the plan, and then make it happen. And so what I'd be, a lot of people are out there creating content and they're building social media, and they're starting to build their brand, which I think is a big part of this as a sales professional, but they're not seeing a ton of engagement on their content. Why do you think that is?
Oh, this is my favorite question, because I think that I might have been the first person to figure this out. I don't know. I'll be bold and say it on the internet. This is me.
Yeah, let's go.
So I got really interested in why sales cycles have lengthened significantly in the past 18 months or so. Because, we go through periods, they go in and out, and we're in a really long cycle right now. And what I realized is that people have lost so much trust in any sort of broadcast like type content. And the way they're making their sales decisions is they're talking to their friends. So it's the conversations happening in Voxer chats, in Signal loops, in like emails, especially again for the higher cost offers. Because the very first thing I do, if it's a low cost thing, I type it in and I'm like, is it good, Reddit? And then I go see what Reddit says. And if it's a higher cost thing, I text my friends and I'm like, hey, is this person legit? And so when people come to me and they're like kind of whining about how their marketing isn't working, I'm like, look, here's the hard truth. If people aren't buying your thing, it's because their friends don't like you. And that's what you need to work on.
Dang. I think you're onto something there. I think especially right now with the algorithm, the way that it's working on social media, and this is not all of them, but most of them I think are moving to this, is it's very much about, hey, what are all your friends into that we can show you that you might also be into? They're trying to create all these like data point connections of like, what are the common interests among the audience of people? And so I think you're right on track with the fact that like they want to know if Susie likes horses, let's show Rachel a whole bunch of different horse related stuff and see what she does with it. And then you click on something else, and it's so wild when you get behind the curtain and see the wizard of like the algorithm. And this is why copywriting is so important, right? Because it's the message. It's the thing that's right. How am I getting other people to actually, in thinking about the content? And here's what's cool is they don't even have to click on it or engage with it anymore. If they screenshot it and send it to somebody, if they sit and watch it for a certain period of time, it's really starting to increase the amount of exposure you're getting there. So I love that take. But you mentioned email. So some people say email marketing is dead. Some people say they're making $1 bajillion a month doing cold emails. The rest of us are somewhere in the middle. What are your thoughts on email right now?
I mean, I've heard people have told me email marketing is dead since 2012, and somehow mine just keeps on working. So, I mean, I'm averaging 65% open rates for myself and my clients pretty reliably. And my take on it is people aren't like over the medium of email. We don't hate the fact that someone can communicate with us that way. We're just really over being treated badly by email marketers. Because, like, I don't know, every time I subscribe to one thing, I get put on like 15 other lists, and nobody wants that. And we're all just so over being treated like data points here. So what I find is that very intentional, high touch email marketing is working great, or if you can make it really weird. So a friend of mine just did a phenomenally successful campaign where it was an email marketing campaign that was somehow part murder mystery scavenger hunt. And people were like, send me those emails. Like they could not wait to open them.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said, though, about creating curiosity. That is where you have to get really good with email. In my opinion, right? I'm not an expert. I wouldn't say I've got 65% open rates, so I can't compete with what you've got, but this is your wheelhouse. This is your specialty. So I'll digress to your expertise here, but I'm a big fan of the daily email and treating it almost like a recap of like, hey, here's some things that happened today that were valuable, or here's a lesson that we recently learned, because it's kind of like social media in that as long as you're not just consistently directly trying to sell people stuff, they still are interested in what you have going on to a degree.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's like an RSS feed, just slightly more curated.
Exactly. And what I would be interested to know from you is like, is there certain things that we could be doing better in our emails to avoid getting flagged by these super smart email companies? Because it seems like it's harder and harder to even get it in the inbox these days. So what's your thought on that?
The first thought is just to make your subject lines actually unique and interesting and not crazy clickbaity. You do have to create curiosity, like you said, but you don't need to do it in the like, you won't believe what happened today. Like,
yes, I will. I've seen it 10 times already. Yeah.
It's like, cool sales. Yeah. I mean, like one of my favorite subject lines that I ever wrote was, you could do this on the toilet if you want. And people were like, and so, of course, it makes you curious. And the whole point in the email was like, look, we're all really busy. And I'm not going to judge you if you scroll this while you're on the toilet. I don't care, because it was like busy entrepreneurs. So that's a way that you can open like this curiosity loop. But no software is going to look at that and be like clickbait, right? Because that combination of words is not how people typically do that. So make sure your subject lines are really good. Make sure you're actually providing value in the email. And I know that's become such a cliche of like, provide value. But it's like, no, would you open this? Would you feel like, ooh, amazing about opening it? Or is it kind of like, okay, well, like I did the email because I said I was going to do the email, because that's when people start flagging you as spam. That's when they stop opening them. And that's what tells the companies like, hey, this person's just like shouting into the void.
Yeah, that's really smart. I might just be narcissistic, but like if I write an email and then I go back and I read it like 3 or 4 times and I'm like, this feels good, then I know it's a decent email. But if I write it and I go back and I'm like, yep, I always know it's like, nah, I got to go back to the drawing board on this one. Because I'm ultimately trying to attract the people who are like me, who are similar in nature, similar mindset, wanting growth. And I think in sales especially, who is the audience? What is it that they're experiencing on a day-to-day basis? And how can we get in their shoes and their frame of mind and thinking about what are the things that would make me feel good, feel entertained, get a little bit of knowledge that I didn't have before, but in a way that doesn't make me feel like they're just trying to treat me like a transaction.
And like, especially in a way that doesn't feel like they're leading up to something. That's my like least favorite thing anybody ever does in nurture campaigns, where it's like, it's timeshare sales, It's like, oh, go to this great condo on Myrtle Beach for a week. Isn't that so fun? Sales email, like that's awful. No one enjoys that. So like in a lot of nurture campaigns, what I've been doing now is like, I'm like, hey, straight up in 7 emails, I'm going to ask you to buy something. If you hate the idea of that, unsubscribe right now. If you want to get this other stuff, I'll promise I'll make it worth your while.
Ooh, all right. So this opens me up to another question for you. The unsubscribe. A lot of people take it personally. Why do you think that is?
I mean, because it's like you're saying something and it feels very personal. So it feels like, when you like walk into a conversation at a party and everyone kind of just drifts away and you're like, cool. So like, it's like that feeling, But it's really not personal because it's like everyone is in 500 parties at once and everyone is shouting at them. And so it's more, I see as more people like walking into the other room. And I have people unsubscribe and then like email me personally and say like, hey, I still want to be connected with you, but I just can't get emails anymore. And I'm like, bro, I totally get you.
I love that analogy. I had a guy, I want to say it was Ian Stanley was talking about it. And it's like, think about you in a retail store and someone walks in, they look around, they walk back out, they decide that it wasn't for them. Like, you're not going to be offended by that. Because we've all done that, right? We've all logged in or signed on to something and been like, this looks cool. And then gotten the thing and been like, actually, never mind. I don't like it. And we've all unsubscribed. So I have to remind myself, because I'm one of those guys that like, I put time and energy and heart into the emails and the content. When people unsubscribe, it's hard not to take it a little personally. However, it also leans in on you don't have to do business with everyone. And I'd be curious for you, like, what can someone do in their copywriting to make sure they're really specifically segmenting the people who want it and the people who don't?
You need to make it as human, as weird, and as specific as possible. So you want people to have a really strong reaction. The worst thing that can happen is someone looks at it and they're like, I mean, okay. You want people to be like, I love this, or like, absolutely not. This is not my person. So a lot of that comes back to your values. And people are always like, my brand values are authenticity, clarity, and transparency. I'm like, no, they're not. Come on. Like, what do you actually care about? What gets you up in the middle of the night? What are you like stomach tighteningly afraid of? That's where your values, you're going to want to look there. And if you can speak from that place, it resonates to the other people who really get that. And it will have the people who don't be like, oh, I am like visibly repulsed by you.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to also increase your open rates and increase your contact rates, because when people are for you, they're for you. But when they're kind of in the gray, they really don't know how to treat you. And, honestly, Rachel, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this for like the next couple hours, because I love these conversations, but I want to be respectful of your time. How do me and the listeners come find you, follow you, check out more of your content?
You can find me at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com. You can also just check me out on LinkedIn, or you can email me at hello@boltfromthebluecopywriting.com, like it is the ancient times, and I will email you back.
Hey, imagine that. Someone who will actually respond to their leads.
Yep.
I knew I liked you, Rachel. Well, listen, if you guys enjoyed the episode, you know what to do. Go share it on social media. Tag Rachel and I. Maybe send it to somebody you know who sucks at copywriting. You don't have to tell them they suck. But like, hey, I heard this episode. Made me think of you. I wanted to send it your way. I know you love creating content. And then, leave us a review. Listen to some of the other episodes. We have amazing guests like Rachel on every single week, always sharing the insights and the gems for sales. And maybe you have a crazy sales story. I'd like to have you on the show and I want to hear about it. Go over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. Grab a hat, grab a keychain, grab some swag while you're there. From here, you know what to do. Pick up the phone. Call the damn leads. We'll see you next time.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.